I practice in them. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's the barber to the stars, Hollywood Pete McGilvery. Well, we have a special guest sitting in the grandstand tonight. He played college football at the powerhouse of Cornell University and was a three-time All-Ivy League selection. He became while at Cornell, he became a member of the prominent Quill and Dagger Society. He was drafted in the 6th round in 2006 by the Oakland Raiders and has played a total of 9 seasons in the NFL with the Raiders and the New York Giants. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome to our show, Kevin Booth.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Kevin. So you attended Cornell,
Yeah.
right? A powerhouse in the
Football factory,
in the football
we call it.
factory, yeah, and
Of
just
course.
barely, almost made the Final Four this year.
Yeah, last little vote in.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
So, when did you start thinking about playing in the NFL? Because you didn't exactly go to a college where a lot of players come out and have any future in the NFL.
Right. Well, I grew up in South Florida where football is king, so I always had this dream of playing in the NFL one day. And even though I wasn't heavily recruited into college and ended up going to that powerhouse that, by the way, has a winning record against Ohio State, Michigan, amongst others,
Right.
it was always a goal of mine. And I know from my experience as a fan, if you're good enough to play in the NFL, they'll find you anywhere.
So, did you go to the Combine?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
In
Yes, I
Indianapolis?
did.
That was
in
where you got-
Indianapolis, yeah. In the old RCA Dome, actually.
Oh, wow.
I'm dating myself now.
Before,
I'm starting to
before
feel
the
old.
Lucas Oil.
Yes,
Right.
indeed, indeed.
It's for the kids. You tell them all these old stories. when you-
Right.
And so, what kind of experience was that?
Well, it was my first time seeing guys that went to the big powerhouse schools and also seeing the coaches that I'd seen on TV walking past John Gruden and Bill Parcells. They were both coaching at the time.
Right.
Seeing some of the owners walk by and trying not to be starstruck. But it was a great experience, an exhausting 3 days. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the weirdest experience. The medical exams were a little weird.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. Actually, you have about 5 different rooms, and in each room has roughly 16 doctors.
Wow.
And literally, they'll call your name up, and you're just in your underwear. And you go and lay down on a table, and they're pulling on your arms, twisting your knee, asking if you've had any injuries. I broke my thumb in 6th grade. They're testing it to see if my thumb's okay. And it was
You
a
ever
weird
colonoscopy or
Right,
something?
yeah, just about. I think everything just short of that, and you end up being more sore from that than anything.
So
Now,
what-
did you do you think you made the NFL because of your performance at the Combine? Was it your tapes in college? What got you from Cornell into the NFL?
Well, I think the Combine. I think it's one of those things where it'll either a great performance will help you, or a really poor performance will hurt you. But anything in between, I think it's just
still in the mix.
what you're what's
Got it.
expected. I think the main thing was my game film, and more importantly was my week. I went to the East-West Shrine game, so that was my experience of playing against some bigger competition. I think that's what they wanted to see, so I thought that was a major step.
Were there a lot of other Ivy guys there?
My year, I think there was one other, actually, a Brown guy, a running back from Brown, Nick Hardigan, actually.
when did Fitzpatrick come? He had to be around
He was the
your time,
year
right?
before me. He
Okay.
tormented me through
Oh, he
college.
did?
Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly. Right down the street from here, actually. I still kind of shudder every time I go by the old Harvard Stadium. I mean, it was easy 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing every time we went against them. It was unbelievable.
So speaking of owners, you get drafted by one of the most famous NFL
Right,
owners of all time,
Yes.
Al Davis. What was Al Davis like?
Tell you what, Mr. Davis was a sharp individual. I mean,
Yeah.
he would come out, and he was almost like a coach, another coach. He would study film like a coach, and he would critique you like a coach. It got to the point where when he would pull up to the facility, guys would try to go out the other entrance and exit so that they didn't have to see him, because he would lay into you. And of course, that year we went 2-14. So
Was that kind of the problem that he was
yeah,
acting as
I'm
quasi-coach?
sure. Well, I think that's just how he was. And one of the first things I was told when I went to the Raiders by my agent was, it's unlike any other team in the NFL. I didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was a great experience to be able to say that I played for Mr. Davis and to wear those colors, which has so much historical meaning in the NFL.
To everyone in the NFL.
Definitely.
Who was the
Definitely
coach
best
at the time?
uniforms. And that was the other thing too. I was actually drafted by Art Shell.
Oh, wow. Wow.
A favorite of mine,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, great guy. It was unfortunate though that season was rough, but I was able to play with a couple of Hall of Famers. Well, one Hall of Famer, one soon to be Hall of Famer. And
Well, how much did
Warren
he coach
Sapp
you up?
and
Because he was an
Randy Moss.
offensive line. Obviously
Oh,
a Hall of
yeah.
Famer, offensive
Definitely.
lineman, right?
Offensive lineman, and I actually was coached at my position by another Hall of Famer. Jackie Slater was actually the offensive line coach.
Wow.
So it was great to be able to see those guys on a daily basis and to pick their brains and also to see what they saw. I thought that I learned a great deal my rookie year. I was able to play a lot that first year while also getting coached by those guys.
And we know Jackie Slater because
And
Matthew
Matthew
Slater,
Slater.
Definitely, yes,
Slater,
I know Matt, yeah.
right? That's his father.
And so then you went from the Raiders to the Giants,
Right.
the most stable franchise
Right.
in the NFL.
From the
other
most
than the
radical
Patriots,
to the
right?
most conservative.
Well, at the time, I didn't know what I was getting into because I was released by the Raiders prior to the 2007 season. And I remember hearing about this Coach Coughlin character, you know, how rough things were there. And I know that there was a rumor that he might get fired there going in. So I didn't know what to expect in 2007. And I go in there in September, and I'm like, hey, this guy isn't too bad. I don't know what everybody's talking about. And it comes to find out later on that I guess he had the big transformation in terms of his coaching style and approach right before the 2007 season. So
Job survival.
luckily
Yeah,
for
right.
me, I only experienced, I guess, the softer side of Coach Coughlin.
Who was the line coach at the Giants?
With the Giants, it was Pat Flaherty who coached the Giants. He was basically there the entire time Coach Coughlin was there, and he actually just took the job in San Francisco.
So you come to the Giants at a very inopportune time in 2007.
Right.
And I just got to mention to you, today's my birthday.
Is it?
Yeah, my 50th birthday. That is
And
not-
that's
that's-
another great day today.
No, no, no.
it was.
Why? What day happened?
Today, actually, we sent a little group text out, a little celebration text.
I don't like that group.
Today's the 8th anniversary of Super Bowl 42.
Yes, it
you remember
is.
that game?
Oh, yes, it
It
is.
was on your
Just a little
birthday?
bit.
Yeah, see, because like 50th birthday is big time. Like I had a parade here
Right,
locally,
yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
But your 42nd birthday, I
Not
had
so
nothing.
good.
No,
but I had
you want
one.
to forget about that
No, I
birthday.
had one
huh?
game. I just had one little game.
It's all he asked for. All he
Yeah,
asked for.
that's all
Just a
you
little
want.
undefeated season.
That's
You know,
it.
just so I could have that in my pocket for the rest of my life.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty. of
Yeah.
it.
So why'd you guys ruin that for me?
I'm sorry. I don't know.
What?
The winner's share, that's why.
All right. First of all, congratulations on winning the
you.
game.
Thank
Seriously, for you personally, great guy. We're very happy, right?
Right.
But really, that was when it comes to the pantheon of losses here in this town. Do we consider that right up there?
With Buckner's
86 World Series, yeah. It's in
It's
the,
right there.
the agony of defeat.
First of all, you guys had no reason to actually even be in that game, right? What was your record?
We were 10-6, but
a late
we
run.
had to win the week
Yeah.
before. We played the Patriots, I think, week 16, the second to last game of the year, and we had to win the game before
Right.
at Buffalo just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. And did you have to have guys lose? Teams lose?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Something
there
had
was
to
someone,
work,
yeah.
but we knew we clinched a playoff berth before we actually stepped on the field that game against the Patriots before Christmas, which was huge because, you guys were undefeated at the time, so you didn't want
guys
to
were
put
ramping up at that
put a
time.
playoff berth on the line in that type of game.
Did you learn something from that game? There's a lot of people
definitely,
around here who
definitely.
felt like had we not played the Giants at the end of the year and beat them, things might have been different in the Super Bowl.
Barely squeaked by them.
I think it really helped the fact that we played to win the game.
Right.
We played all of our starters that game, and the game was a well-played game. And I think that was the moment where everybody kind of said, hey,
believe.
if that's the best, that's obviously the best in the NFL. We're right there.
Were you surprised the
play our
Patriots
best.
played their best game?
Yeah, I knew that they wanted to win to go undefeated. So I think it was one of those heavyweight matches, and I think that we played at a high level. So did the Patriots. I remember Randy Moss and Tom Brady breaking the records that
Wasn't
game.
that a beautiful
I remember
play?
that.
That was a gorgeous
You know what?
play.
I remember that. I'm on the sideline that game
Yeah.
for most of it, but I remember the play before. Randy Moss, he just missed Moss on a touchdown. And we're kind of like, whew, all right,
Right.
okay, we're still in it here. We're still in it. And the very next play, he goes streaking down the sideline again, right by our bench, and there he is.
Well, nobody expected you to win, and it was,
Right.
I mean, the Super Bowl, right?
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
literally, we're talking about the Uber team in the
Right,
history of the
right.
NFL, right?
Yes.
The 72 Dolphin guys are
Right.
getting nervous, and,
Right.
and everyone likes that, right?
Definitely.
So, what was your attitude going into the game? Was it, we have nothing to lose here.
Sure.
I mean, can you go into a Super Bowl
Sure.
and say we have nothing to lose?
Well, I think it's a thing that, we obviously hear everything that the media is saying. And, you kind of put those out there. Coach did a great job of putting those things out there. And I know the defensive line that game who played well, I know one of the things that they really kind of stuck to was when Plaxico actually said that he had a dream that we would win. I think the score was 23-17 or something like that. And they played it for Tom Brady. And Brady laughed and said, 17 points? Give us more credit than that. So I think that kind of got the defense going.
Oh, is that right?
It's good,
So,
right?
I think it was just kind of the perfect storm. If we play that game the next day, who knows what happens, But I think just the way football is, how it's a one-game deal rather than a series in other sports, anything could happen.
Well, I think we saw too, and the pattern has repeated itself several times, is that defensive line could get pressure on Brady with 4 guys rushing.
Sure.
Which meant that you had plenty of guys
Right.
back. And if you look at every big loss that the Patriots have had, really
That's
since
the key.
then,
That's the key.
If you can
that
get a
pattern.
rush out of 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
Right, you have to. If you blitz, Tom Brady is too good to blitz 6-7 guys. He's going to pick you apart. And then if you're not getting a pass rush and you let him sit back there, you're losing anyway. So the only chance you have, really, like you said, the only time you see the Patriots really struggle is when he's getting knocked around and uncomfortable. And we were fortunate.
You guys made him uncomfortable.
Very
Okay.
uncomfortable.
Right.
He's lucky he survived that.
Well, speaking of, you're an offensive. You saw the struggles of 2 tackles.
Right. Yep.
Not having the advantage
Right.
of the snap
Right.
count. Do you think if this game had been played in Foxborough, they would have had a very significant advantage?
Sure. I think the thing is, in the NFL, whenever you go to hostile environments, and Denver is up there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've gotten our butts kicked in Denver also. You can't hear the person next to you, so you're on a silent count. So you're going to be a tick slower on everything, and especially
it
those
seemed like
guys.
they didn't get off the ball.
Those guys on the edges, it's worse, and especially you have world-class elite talents on both ends for Denver.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. So if that game was in Foxborough and you can utilize a snap count, you could kind of keep the defense from teeing off on you. I think it would have
Can
definitely
you
played to their
explain a
advantage.
silent count? Like, I don't understand the mechanics of a silent count.
Yeah, well, some teams do it differently, but every team that I've been experienced on, we've either gone with the center putting his head down, and when he looks up, he snaps it
time
on
to
either
go.
one or
So
two.
you have to have out of the corner of your eye, from a tackle
from a
position,
tackle spot, yeah.
You have to have out of the corner of your eye, be able to
You
see
have to
the
be able
center's
to,
head bob
right,
up.
but without, you don't want to turn in to look at the ball, because by the time you turn back, those DNs are gone.
Because Matt Light was on the radio last week and said, they would have gone, in the past, they would have gone into that game with maybe 4 or 5 separate silent count
Right,
techniques.
and that's the thing. You've got to change it up. You've got to
Right.
have. I know my time with the Giants, we had a silent one, which was Eli would give the leg kick, and the center would look down, come up, snap it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1, there's 2, and then the thing is a change up. We'd have a 2 hold or a 1 hold. So usually he'd come up and snap it, and the defense is going. And then a couple times during a drive, we'll come up and he'll hold it, and he'll sit there for a second, and then he'll
Oh,
snap.
no
So there's no
kidding.
pattern.
So just to
You
kind of
can't
keep
have a
them off
pattern,
guard.
'cause if they
And we'd
can
get an
figure out what
offsides.
you're
We'd get a
doing, you
couple
guys don't
offsides.
have a chance,
Yeah,
right?
we'd get a couple offsides a game, and then you get the defense kind of on their heels. They don't know when to go. So that's the key. And I didn't see that.
But when you were
often.
watching that game, I mean,
Right.
at halftime, it seemed how much adjustments do they make at halftime as far as the offensive lineman goes? I mean, you're obviously going into groups, right, at halftime.
Right.
I mean, it didn't seem like the Patriots made any adjustments.
Right, and I'm sure they do make some adjustments, because that's what the Patriots and Bill Belichick are known for.
Right.
Is the fact that they can be multiple. One game they can come out and run the ball 50 times. Next game they'll run the ball 2 times and throw the ball. And the same defensively, they'll switch their fronts. They can go from a 4-down lineman front to a 3-down lineman front in the middle of a series. But I think it's just one of those games. As an offensive lineman, I've been a part of games where
Getting abused.
it's just bad news all around, and you're
Yeah.
just like, I need this game to end. It's one of those games where
Communication. The other thing that looks like when
communication
something's
looked like-
off, there's
right.
just you guys are not communicating with
Right.
each other well.
And I think it all ties in to panicking, and the game's getting out of hand, and guys are scrambling, trying to do too much, and you're not sticking to what's true. And I've been there. We've all been there if you play long enough.
But are they hesitant to
one of those
replace
games.
an offensive lineman during a game? It
I-
seems
I've
like with
seen that
defensive
happen.
backs,
Right.
they'll go in
Right.
and out, right? I mean,
Yeah, and that's, if you replace one guy, that means obviously one guy is seriously struggling, and if they don't replace a guy, it's obviously a unit issue
Right.
going on.
But they
it's not
elected
one
to,
person.
they knew that they were struggling.
Right.
As a line, they kept the empty backfield the whole game.
Right,
Pretty
right.
much, so they must have felt,
Right. I guess they felt that they could get the ball out quick enough
Right.
to exploit it, and I guess they didn't feel comfortable keeping a guy in the block, whether it was running back or Gronk. Obviously, had to get out because you saw what happened towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to not see more help to the offensive line. I guess it's just a part of their scheme and what they saw in terms of taking advantage of the DBs for Denver. I guess they felt like they had to get those guys out to buy time. I mean, to get the ball out quick because they couldn't buy time. So.
I have a question, as a tackle,
Uh-huh.
you're supposed to use that kick step to get back.
Right.
But these guys are so fast now, especially Denver, they're so fast coming
That
around.
Von Miller, he's
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, and I
It
think
seemed like
that's
they
why
couldn't even get their hands
Right.
up, and he was.
that's why those guys are getting paid the big bucks. Those
Mm.
tackles. I'm
And
in there. I'm in the interior, but I think the game is changing now because you're getting those lighter defensive ends that are
Strong, fast.
4-4
Yeah,
speed
right.
guys.
So will tackles get lighter? Do you think that
I think so. I think it's already. I think the
game.
game has kind of moved that way. I think
Yeah.
you look at some of the teams, the guys aren't as heavy as
It's all
they
about
used
the
to be.
feet.
I think it's more of like a 290, 295 offensive lineman rather than the old 320, 330 guys.
Because they
that
seem
you
to
saw
kept
from
on getting
5
bigger and
right.
bigger, 350,
Right.
360.
And I just think the game in general is starting to get a little bit more horizontal and more fast. So I think that
in the
that's just
hurry up
nature of the
offenses,
game.
you need guys who are in really good
Right.
shape. I mean,
Right.
if we're
Not
going
gonna
to
be
run
winded.
You're not just going to
yeah.
be able to line up and pound the ball. That's just not the way the NFL is anymore.
I've enjoyed over the years listening to offensive linemen and defensive linemen going at it. Just about the offensive lineman, you have to be intellectual. You have to
Right,
be pretty
right.
smart. The defensive line, you
They
just
just
be
go.
dumb as a post.
They
and
just
go,
go.
right?
Go. Just have a motor.
Yeah.
Just have a motor.
So you were too smart to
Chase
play
ball.
in defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, too
I-
sophisticated.
You go over here. You're the one of the smart ones.
Cornell, I'm
Right.
sure that was Ivy. There
There
was
are
some
two.
nickname
Right.
you had that to do with
Yeah, throughout
something.
the years, there's always a running joke through locker rooms that they'd always
Ask you the hard question
Right.
about life.
Yeah.
Could you come here and explain it?
Especially when with the Giants, we had a couple guys that were Ivy Leaguers, and whenever they'd see us talking together, it was, "Shh, hey, you guys,
Conspiracy.
what's going on here? They're
Minnesota.
plotting world
They're
domination.
over- it's an
there,
overthrow.
Something's going on." So,
Yeah,
good
when you
fun.
cuss, it's an intelligent cuss.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
right.
right,
yeah.
right.
All right, so I have to ask you because I can't really get over the 2008
Sure.
Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
I'm not over it just yet. Now being with you, it's made it a little more difficult.
Okay.
Where were you with the David Tyree catch? Were you on the field?
No, I was actually on the sideline. That game I played mostly. I played all special teams that game.
Okay.
I was on field goal block and field goal protection and kickoff return. Actually, the old wedge that the
Yeah.
rules have changed now in terms of how many guys you can have line up. But on the Tyree catch, I was on the sideline and I vividly remember the play. It was 3rd and 5 was the play, and I remember seeing an instant penetration by Seymour,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. It's going to be 4th and 15.
Right.
You know, and then all of a sudden I see Eli spin out, and then when you see him throw the ball, you're like, oh, come on, really? Like that's the throw?
Like a Hail Mary.
He just threw it down the middle of the field. You know. And so you see it, and you're just like, no. And then he catches it, and when he caught it, I was like, we're
Yes,
winning
yes,
this
yes.
game.
Yeah,
We're
I
winning
think
this
we
game.
all had that same feeling that once he caught it,
Yeah.
we knew it was over.
But the
right?
thing is that people don't realize, I thought was a play just as big was right after that. I think we threw an incomplete pass, and then Eli kind of got sacked for a 1-yard loss. It's 3rd and 11, and Eli throws a pass to Steve Smith on the sideline, about a 5-yard pass, and the defense was late getting over there, and he just got the
Oh, is
first
that right?
down.
Yeah.
Oh, is
It's
that
3rd and 11, and he just got the first down, and
remember
then the
that.
next play was the
I was
touchdown
probably under
pass.
my
Yeah,
bed
you're
at
probably
Well, no,
already
you're
talking.
right. Exactly.
I can see it. Just I can see the wheels turning. Oh no!
The
but
trauma's
I can see
coming
the
all
pain.
over it. Oh
I feel very uncomfortable.
Oh
about
my
this show
God,
now.
my kidneys hurt right now. Oh, all right. So I don't know how I can
Right,
continue.
no.
But, all right, let's talk about Eli Manning. All right,
Sure.
He's, obviously, I think he's kind of a whiner. I appreciate Peyton. I don't appreciate Eli. I feel like.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right. I just feel like
You think he's a whiner?
I feel like he stole from us. Seriously, I really.
No, but that's different from being a whiner.
I don't know. I just
Doesn't like him.
You just got to call him a name.
He's been a beer face. I don't know. Whatever. He's got. All right,
get
so, what kind of guy is he?
He's actually a great guy.
Yeah.
People don't know about Eli. He's actually one of the bigger pranksters on the team
Yeah.
when I played with him. Great guy, but obviously in the public eye, he's a little bit more reserved, and I think that comes from his upbringing in terms of what to put out there, what not to put out there. But he's a great teammate, a great guy to lead a team. You know, he's not a vocal leader, but he'll say things, and when he talks, it's whoa. all
Okay,
right,
so
yeah.
in the huddle, was he a guy who would yell at you?
He didn't have to yell. You know, he's one of those guys, but when he talked, it commands a room because it's his voice, and you know what he's been through and who he is. So it's one of those things that when he speaks, though, he doesn't have to yell and curse at you, but he gets his point across.
Not that you ever gave up a sack,
Right.
But
Never,
no,
right?
but
Never.
but if when you may have given up a sack, does the quarterback ever come and say,
Well,
WTF?
yeah, most of the time I played with Eli, there was one time, actually, the one time he yelled at me, it kind of hurt me a little bit. It was, we played Green Bay in the playoffs, 2011. I think it was the second round. Green Bay was a great team that year. I think they were 15-1. And it was early in the game. We had an audible check. It was like a certain pass to another pass. And when he alerted it, I was supposed to kick out to another guy to block a defensive end. And there was some sort of miscommunication. I didn't realize what the check was. I'm like, what is this check? I heard him saying check, but I just can't remember it. It said Ike. So I just kind of do one of these where you don't block anybody, but you're blocking. And he gets smacked. I mean, he throws it, but he gets smacked, and he kind of looks at the left side. It was me and the left tackle, and we both kind of messed up. We were both kind of, it was early in the game. You're all jacked up.
Yeah.
And he looked at us, and he's kind of like, you're supposed to block that guy. And it was the first time he kind of raised his voice at me on the field, not like yelling over crowd noise, but more of like a stern talking to. And it was kind of, oh, man.
A little steel in his
yeah,
voice.
Yeah. So,
Well, guys like that, all of a sudden, who get yelled at, who can't handle it, all of a sudden, is that it? They disappear the rest of the game?
right.
And
Yeah. That's the
and they're
thing. I've been getting yelled at since I was 11 on the football field. So yelling at me doesn't really, I hear you.
That must be
I
quite
hear
a
you.
lonely feeling when you're in the game and you go, I'm not really sure what this audible is.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's tough. And you're on the road.
Yeah.
And,
How much does that happen during the course of a game?
You know what? We communicate so much on the offensive line. I mean, there's been numerous times throughout the course of a game where I'll turn to Eli and say, what's it on? I don't remember the snap count. All right.
And
Or
you'll
what's
say
the
it out
play?
loud, and you'll be
Yeah.
at the line of
Or
scrimmage.
we'll
You'll
have
say it out
code
loud.
words. We'll have code
I see.
words.
All right. So you're not telling the whole defensive line.
Right.
It's on
Instead of
4.
on one or on two, we'd have different words, whether
see.
it's,
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday.
Omaha.
Yeah. Omaha. The dreaded Omaha check,
Now,
which
Ken-
usually meant snap the ball.
Oh, is that right? Now, 2011 you mentioned, that's the year the thing that pains me about 2011, 2012 is that you had a miracle to get into the Super Bowl that year, right?
Yeah, well, we were 7-7 that season.
This is the painful
We
part.
lost to Washington.
Right.
I remember we had a big win against the Pats, I think, and everything's looking well.
remember
and
that,
Then,
yeah.
And then we lost. So we're 7-7. We had to win Christmas Eve against the Jets, and then if we won that game, we'd have a winner take all against the Cowboys in Week 17, and we were able to win those games, and that kind of got us going into the playoffs. We were outside looking in up until that point. So.
So I don't know if you believe in sports, and you've played a lot of sports. Do you believe that certain teams have other teams' number, just match up well against them year after year?
Yeah.
And was that really what the Giants
it
were
was.
about with the Patriots? Is that it was a
could
bad
say
matchup?
that. I
for
could
the
say
Patriots.
that. I think for whatever reason, I don't know if it was our structure, the way the teams are, the familiarity with the coaches. For whatever reason, we just matched up really well against the Patriots.
Because when you played when you
personnel.
played for the Raiders, did you ever play the Patriots?
Yeah, we did. 2000, the Super Bowl year, 2014.
And it was
early in the year. It was an ugly game.
Oh, it was
An
ugly.
Oh,
game.
yeah.
We could have lost that
Patriots won,
game
yeah,
actually.
we had a
Mayo
questionable holding
intercepted
call.
the ball. Yeah, you
Vince
had a
had
touchdown
the-
to win the game.
Vince had the interception
Yeah.
off of a deflection, but but I wouldn't even count that game in terms of.
But it's a different feeling. It was
Right,
a
it
different
was a
feeling
different
playing the
feeling.
Raiders.
Right.
We
Like
discovered Derek Carr that game.
Right,
Yeah, Derek
right.
Carr all of a sudden was in my favorites.
Definitely.
and you were the starter in the 2011 team, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So that totally different feeling than the 2017 because you feel much more of a part of it, right?
Right. To me personally,
Yeah.
that Super Bowl run, I feel more of a part of it. Started a bunch of games that year and started throughout the playoffs and the Super Bowl. But it was also different too, the fact that we played the Patriots that season, And, we were able to win that game during a regular season in Foxborough where they hadn't lost to an NFC team in forever. So that kind of gave us our motivation again and inspiration.
Well, he says us, but he's so nice. We'll say it's we now.
Right.
I can't thank
The
you
royal
enough.
we.
Can you believe that? That's how quickly that show went. So
yeah.
I can't thank Kevin enough for being on our show. He was great. Hopefully he'll
On our
come
show
back.
for the first time.
Yes, yes, and hopefully many more times.
Right.
Want to thank, of course, the fellas. Want to thank everyone behind the scenes. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great night.
You were awesome.
That was great, guys.
I told you.
That was super fast.